smear tactic fame. Well, in 1944, in the midst of World War II, Vice President Henry Wallace gave the definition of a fascist, and I'm going to quote. He said, "A fascist is one whose lust for money or power is combined with such an intensity of intolerance toward those of other races, parties, classes, religions, cultures, regions, or nations as to make him ruthless in his use of deceit or violence to attain his ends," end quote. Well, we all feel what a scary time it is. The chief profiteers, the foremost white supremacists, warmongers, and polluters preparing to take the helm. This is capitalism in its extreme, and we are in the fight for our lives. Millions of people are wondering, what can we do? There's a sort of feeling of maybe helplessness, certainly fear. And we know from history that this is not a time to be silent. So today I want to talk about resistance, I want to talk about solidarity, and I want to talk about hope. Trump's vicious race-baiting and hate-mongering has led to a wave of bullying and hate crimes against people of color, immigrants, Muslims, LGBTQ people, women and girls across the country, and especially in school classrooms. So it's not surprising that starting on election night, the streets filled spontaneously with protesters, including here in Philly. Young people were standing up for their future and saying it's not acceptable to go backward. And this past Thursday, I was really inspired. I attended a workshop of high school students in New Haven. They had come together, mostly African American and Latino, to talk about their fears of a Trump presidency. And I know that similar discussions are happening everywhere. And these young people said that with white supremacists and anti-LGBTQ people getting, as they called it, so bold, they will have to look out for themselves and each other. They will have to educate themselves and their classmates. They will have to prioritize women's rights. They will have to organize and be proactive and demand their city as a safe place for everyone, given the possibility of mass deportations and stop and frisk laws. And then the next day, the American Federation of Teachers became the first union to announce that it will protect the children in their classrooms, a sort of sanctuary union. And I know there's some great PFT members here today. The fact is that the demand should be placed on every board of education, city council, county, and state government to discuss and plan now how to be in the forefront of resisting any attacks on free speech and human rights, and how to protect basic democracy after January 20th. And already there are dozens of sanctuary cities across the country, including Philadelphia, campuses and churches that are sharing information, networking, and ideas for how to maintain an inclusive and safe environment and withstand the threats of Trump. So that question, what can we do? Don't let any provocation go unanswered, and stand in solidarity with those who come under attack. When Donald Trump tweeted against Chuck Jones, the president of Steelworkers Local 1999 at Carrier, for exposing Trump's lies about saving jobs, Chuck Jones started getting ugly phone calls and death threats at home. But just as fast came the AFL-CIO National Online Campaign. We are the union. An attack on one of us is an attack on all. Hashtag I'm with Chuck. That's the kind of solidarity and resistance needed at every turn. I hope we all participate in hashtag I'm with Chuck. Reaching out and bringing millions into the broad popular opposition. Unions are under attack, including at the state level, because they're the largest and most organized component of the working class, and they have the capacity to educate and build unity against the boss. And of course, Trump chose a nominee for labor secretary who is that boss, a fast food CEO who hates the fight for 15 and would like to do away with unions. So in response, unions and union members should get full support from the community and in turn offer full support to the community in order to organize, and build class solidarity. An injury to one is an injury to all. Even in the most challenging circumstances, that boldness, that determination is how victories can be won. And in the few weeks since Donald Trump was declared president-elect, victories have been won. The victory of teaching assistants at Columbia University, who just won their years-long, hard-fought battle for union recognition with the UAW. You can applaud if you want. The victory of Ohio union members who mobilized and forced Republicans in the state legislature to back down on a bill that would have gutted unemployment compensation. The victory of the Portland, Oregon City Council that just voted to impose a surtax on corporations whose CEOs make more than 100 times their average worker. And the great first step victory last Sunday, when the tremendous resistance led by the Standing Rock Sioux, despite hosing and arrests, forced the Army Corps of Engineers to rule that the Dakota Access Pipeline will have to be rerouted. There were some important, very important progressive victories in the 2016 election that should be broadcast because they provide the basis of engaging numbers of people for the first time to resist the Trump Republican agenda. The 2.5 million majority of people who voted against Trump. Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders won 13 million votes in the Democratic primary on a program of taking on finance capital and meeting people's needs, and we sure worked our heart out for him. For the political revolution. Roy Cooper, this is big. Roy Cooper has defeated Republican Governor Pat McCrory in North Carolina. Pat McCrory kept refusing to concede. He demanded the recount. He lost, despite widespread voter suppression, as a result of the community organizing day by day, year by year, led by the Tomorrow Monday movement and Reverend William Barber. On election day, 70% of the people who went to the polls said they do not support mass deportations, which is on Trump's agenda. They do not support it. And in fact, they would rather allow unauthorized immigrants the opportunity to become citizens. So think about that, who we can reach out to. 80% of those polled made a priority of saying that protecting Medicare and Social Security from any reductions must be the policy of the land. Opposite from Trump. Raising the minimum wage, opposite from Trump. Passed in every state where it was on the ballot. In 2 red states, Arizona and Colorado, and also in Washington and Maine. Notorious immigrant hater Sheriff Joe Arpaio was overwhelmingly defeated in red state Arizona.